Well, we've got a great challenge ahead of us this week. Lafayette is, we've played them last few years, obviously, in the Sun Belt, and they look exactly like they have in the past. Very talented, very fast, great athletes. I've always said they're one of the most talented teams in the Sun Belt year in and year out, and this is no exception. They played a very challenging schedule. Out of conference, they played Alabama and Mississippi State, so that's a daunting schedule that they played, and they've come through it stronger. And they played very well last week against Texas State. This game will be won and lost up front on both sides of the ball. They do a great job of running the football. They're a very strong, physical, power running team. They want to establish the run. That's what everything is built on with them. And on the flip side, their defense, the defensive front is the strength. Very good up front. Really strong, really athletic. Be a tremendous challenge for our offensive line, establishing a running game and protecting the passer. So up front on both sides will be the key to this game. But we're looking forward to it. It'll be a great environment to play down there. It always is. They have a tremendous fan base down there. So it'll be an exciting game we're looking forward to. Questions?
This is the first of 3 straight Sun Belt games against teams from the Sun Belt. Obviously, you guys were in that conference. You had some success against all 3 of these teams. Is that any extra motivation for you or your players?
Well, it's certainly a help, that we are very familiar with all 3 of these teams. And, Lafayette's a little bit different in that they have a new coaching staff, so the schemes are a little bit different from them, but the other ones are pretty much the same. So, yeah, there's some familiarity there. I hope that our guys do have an edge about playing a Sun Belt team. I know I do, and I hope our team will too.
You mentioned the new coach. How is their defense different scheme-wise with Napier there?
It's a lot of coverage differences. They played a lot of man coverage before, Jason. They brought a lot of pressures before. They still bring pressure, but the coverage is a little bit different. They play a lot of match coverages, what we call match coverages, where it's different from one side to the other. One side may be man, the other side may be zone, things like that. But, again, they're very well coached. Coach Napier came from Arizona State. He had a lot of success there offensively, and you can already see his fingerprints on the offense and changing the style of play there. So it'll be a tough task.
What's kind of changed about their offense with him this year?
Well, I think for Arizona State, he had quarterbacks that were probably more adept in the passing game than what they have right now. I think they're really more run-oriented right now. I think a lot of that's due to the quarterbacks. It takes time to recruit your quarterback to fit your specific style of offense and how you want to play. I think he would probably like to be more wide open offensively, throwing the ball around, things like that, but he's playing to their strengths, which is the running game. Now, they still throw the ball effectively. They have play-action passes and things like that. They throw the ball well, but it all begins and ends with the running game with them.
It seems like your defense had kind of figured out playing against running teams because you played a string of them before last week. So is that a string for your defense maybe?
Well, it better be because they're going to challenge us. I think you always go into a game defensively wanting to make the offense one-dimensional. If you can make a team throw the ball, then you've got a chance. And, we have to play well against the run. We're not going to stop them from running the ball. They're too good to do that, but we have to slow it down. And we have to get them in some third and long situations where they're not as comfortable.
Coach, can you talk about some of the struggles on defense from the second half from last week's game? Because you guys had some good turnovers, but the thing is it just seemed like Liberty would have a chance coming back towards that second half.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was a couple of things. One, we put our defense in some bad situations with 2 roughing the kicker penalties that, our defense had stopped them, was going to get off the field, and we gave them penalties that put them back on the field. And those resulted in touchdowns. We gave up a long punt return, which put our defense in a bad situation there. And then defensively, we didn't tackle as well in the second half, and we gave up some explosion plays in the passing game that we just can't do. We played the run pretty well. We played very well against the run, but we got to play the pass much better than what we did last week.
Coach, do you bring up being 2-4 to last year being 2-4? Any correlation with your players saying where we were, where we are? the likeness and all that?
Yeah, I really haven't, Tom. I've really just trying to focus on us getting better from week to week. And the thing that bothered me about this team early in the year is we weren't getting better from game to game. And I talked to him about the hamster wheel, right? We've all seen the hamster run on the wheel. He doesn't go anywhere. That's what we were doing. We were on the wheel. We had to get off the wheel. And this week's first time I felt like, we started going somewhere. We started making progress and getting better. Defense has done that the previous 2 weeks, but offensively we took a giant step forward this week. So it's just about getting better from game to game. We've got to be better this coming week than we were last week against Liberty if we're going to have a chance to win this one.
Coach, how much better was the offensive line last week?
Yeah, I think the offensive line played better. We played more physical than what we had, and that was our whole desire in the open week and the week leading up to Liberty. And then I thought we played much more physical on the perimeter also. And then the other thing that makes the whole thing with the offensive line and the passing game and sacks and those type of things, it all correlates back to the quarterback too. If the quarterback is operating correctly and knows when he's not protected and gets rid of the football, knows when he is protected and make the right throw, then your offensive line looks a lot better too. And so it's kind of a correlation between the offensive line getting a little bit more physical, and Josh played a really good game last week and handled those things well for us.
I think 9 different receivers had a catch Saturday. Was that the first time this year where you've really seen the depth that you have at wide receiver?
Yeah, I think definitely, and I think that's a testament to how well Josh played too. He's not looking for one particular receiver. He's running the plays. He's executing the plays, and the ball's just going naturally where it's supposed to go. I know OJ ended up with 10 catches, but OJ hasn't had near that this year. But it just happened to be he was the guy that was the read, for that particular defense, and Josh was seeing him, so he needs to keep doing that this week.
Can you talk about your thought process as the season kind of went on? Because I thought you tweaked the offensive line. You obviously made a change at quarterback. Christian's more involved. These are things that you felt like you had to do to get more production as the season went on.
Yeah, I think players dictate that. Tony Bello has worked really hard in practice, and just thought he may play more physical than Sebastian, and so Tony dictated that. Josh, after the second week of the season, I could see him making great progress on the field as far as maturing and maybe getting ready to be able to play. And so, we gave him a little bit of play at Utah State. He got a little bit more against New Mexico, and then, bam, he's ready. But Josh dictated that. It wasn't that the coaching staff dictated, hey, this is what we're going to do. He showed us that in practice and in games. And then same with Christian. Christian, all those guys have earned those chances. And that's what you look for as a coach. You look for signs in practice to where guys are ready to step up and do it in a game. And fortunately, that's worked out for all those guys. Billy Knipp is another one of those guys defensively that's done that for us.
Do players respect that, that their teammate maybe earned some more playing time, even though, going into the season, you think Jason Huntley's just penciled in as the number 1 running back there?
Well, I would hope so. Sometimes you don't know what your players think of you. Sometimes you may not want to know, right? But I think our players understand. I think I'm very demanding of our players, but I think I'm very fair with them too. And I am brutally honest with them. And sometimes that turns kids off. And not that I'm negative with them, but I am brutally honest about their play on the field. There's no gray with me. They know it's black and white, and with our coaching staff. I would rather be treated like that as a player, than somebody tell me something that's not really true. And so when they're not playing up their abilities, I make sure they know that. And when they are playing up their abilities, I make sure everybody knows that too. And I gave them a long talk about Christian and Billy Knipp Sunday in our team meeting, that those two guys are guys you want to emulate. Those guys aren't looking for, when they weren't playing for years, they weren't looking for places to transfer or blaming coaches or any of that type of stuff. They just kept working hard. And when you do that, and when you do that in life, you're going to be successful. These guys aren't going to play college football forever. They're going to have to go out and make a living and earn their way and take care of a family one day, and you want to prepare them for that too. And that's what this is all about.
Does winning justify maybe the choices that you made then?
Winning always, justifies everything, I guess, Jason. But, I think you're all, just like Josh, he had great numbers the other night as a quarterback. His numbers were not spectacular against UTEP, but he played well. The thing that you're ultimately judged by is wins. He's 2-0 as a starting quarterback. That's really the only side. If you ask him, that's probably the only stat that matters to him. And that's really the only stat that matters to any of us. And, Billy Nips stepped in and started for Terrell Hanks while he's been out. And guess what? We're 2-0 with him. So that's what good teams do. They find ways to win, maybe even when one of the best players isn't out there.
Ken, do you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, just where the injuries stand this week.
I think, we're in pretty good shape as far as, for this year, this time of year. Terrell Hanks, I think, is still going to be questionable. We're going to try to see if we can get him up and running this week, but I'd say he's still questionable. Certainly believe we could get him back for next week at least. Other than that, I think Lottie has a little bit of a knee that we're going to be a little slow with him this week, but he's going to be able to play. Xander Yarbrough, tight end, has a little bit of a back injury. We'll probably hold him today, but he's going to practice tomorrow. Should be able to play. I think other than that, we're in pretty good shape.
Was Sebastian injured? I saw him on the sideline. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian just got beat out by Tony Bello, and then I think he had a hip flexor or something strained, but he's not injured.
Any more questions? Ken, you got anything else?
I think that's it. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.